What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 2 of the Rebel Yankee podcast, where we put God first and then guts and guns. This is a podcast where we talk about how God is moving in our lives and what we are doing to keep him in the center of everything. And then we get into guts and guns, which includes topics on grit, self-defense, fitness, firearms, hunting, and other cool lifestyle items. I'm so pleased today. We have a very special guest, Ryan Resch, who is a buddy of mine. He is the son of a king, a husband, a father, an entrepreneur, a fitness enthusiast, a runner, and the owner of Bighorn Firearms. What's up, Ryan? Welcome to the show.
What's going on?
Not much. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks to have me.
Yep.
Thanks for having me. This is pretty exciting for me. The runner thing got me caught a little off guard, but I guess that's a fact now. But
how many days a week do you run?
Well, these last couple of weeks have been a little bit
normal, average.
But yeah, at least a couple, and I've been working my way up into some longer runs. So
nice.
I've forced myself to be a runner,
right?
Not out of pure love, but out of the love of punishment and challenge.
Awesome. We're going to get more into that a little bit later, but on this show, we're always going to put God first.
God first.
And then we'll get into other things about how we met, what you do for fitness and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can talk about all those things.
Yep. So I want to know, Ryan, how has God been moving in your life currently?
Ooh, that is the most important question. And, it's a hard question to answer too for me because God first is a pretty new thing to me. As you know, I've jumped in full steam the beginning of this year, pretty much January 1st.
New Year's.
On the button. So he's been the best for me lately because I've been experiencing a lot of stress, kind of like maybe like a midlife crisis sort of thing going on, you know? So the timing on this was absolutely perfect for God to really step more front forward into my life and become a main focus, and leaning on him to help me, trust that his plan is better than mine. And that's been probably the number one way that he's been moving in my life, is keeping me focused and calm and just moving forward no matter what gets thrown at me on any given day, because it's a very much a changing landscape in my industry, and in a way that a lot of people are giving up, throwing in the towel, moving out of town. So I own a gun store in Denver, and not that that, but not everybody else here does. So Colorado's been getting after the gun industry pretty hard over the last couple years, and in the last 2 years, in a way that has got a lot of people thinking about leaving town, splitting town, packing up shop, and just heading somewhere else where they can have less involvement by the government in their life, their daily lives and their livelihood. So God has helped me kind of just stay focused and know that, I have the ability with him behind me to navigate through this and make it good for everybody who's already devoted a lot of time into my business, myself included, my employees, my family. And so that's probably the number one way. I've been taking in some really great sermons at Flatirons Community Church lately, and those have always impacted me in a way that keeps me wanting more. And nice. This last 3 weeks was a 3-part series about Is This Heaven? And that one really got me just kind of thinking about some things, thinking about my life, thinking about my legacy, and my past, present, future. And so he's very active in my life right now. And
I love it.
And it's been really great. You've been a big part of that as well.
Praise God. Let me ask you this. You being a new believer and having had total control of everything you've done before, and now leaning on God, do you ever find yourself struggling for control, like wrestling with God, like, I'm going to do this, and then God's like, nah, you're not going to do that, and you're like, yeah, I am. Has there been any battles like that?
Nothing that really stands out right
Okay.
now, but because I've really just kind of gone into this and realized that the trust needs to be in Him, and just I've been very patient and just kind of allowed things to just transpire and
Sure.
move in this direction or that direction. I'm just much more open minded because this is a new thing for me,
Yeah.
and so I'm just trying to have a lot of trust
Sure.
in God and the Holy Spirit.
Man, it's been so cool for me to watch and witness what's going on in your life. And I can't wait to see what God has planned for you next through, your family and Bighorn and just life in general. It's been really, really cool to sit back and watch all this unfold. What have you been doing, if anything, can you put your finger on to really make sure you're putting him in the center of it all? Is there anything that you do actively that you're conscious about?
Read the daily verse.
Okay.
Pray.
Yeah, that's huge.
Stop, think before I act.
Love it.
Taking the family to church every Sunday.
Yes.
Almost every Sunday. Been pretty regular for us, and talking about what the kids are learning in kids ministry, and it's been really good for my relationship with my wife. So yeah, just taking the time and putting thought into it and spending time on it daily.
I love it. So I picked out a verse for today that I think is appropriate, and it's Proverbs 27:17. And that verse says, iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. And you being a close friend of mine, I feel like, I know you always tell me thank you, but I want to thank you as well because I feel like we make each other sharper, right? But diving into this verse, there's a lot more to it. And one thing I read is the face of another can refer, or when they start talking about sharpening another, the face, it means the face of another, and it refers to the edge of an axe or a sword. And one man encourages, corrects, and hones one's skills in handling challenges, right? So you're here to help sharpen me to face challenges, right? And I'm here to help you and hone your skills to face challenges. And a piece of iron can sharpen another piece of iron, but it happens through striking friction and sparks. It's not pretty. It's not like, hey, bro, great job today. I hope you're sharper. Yeah. It's when there's trouble and how you walk and work through adversity is what this verse is talking about. A man can sharpen his friend, but it could be uncomfortable. So let me ask you this, and I like to say instead of calling people out, we call them up in love, right? So if I saw you doing something and I decided to call you up out of love and say, hey, you know what, Ryan, like I'm watching you, because we've never been intrusive this way in our friendship. But let's say I was sitting back and I'm watching you lead your family and I'm like, you know what? He's not really living up to God's standard the way he is leading his family now. And I approached you and I intruded on that. How would that make you feel?
Well, I mean, I've put a lot of trust in you since day one of this journey. I mean, we've been friends for a long time before that.
Sure.
But I take this pretty seriously.
Right.
And I know you've always been really honest with me since we, before this, but even more so since we started down this path.
Sure.
And, I don't think there's been anything really like any hard conversations
Sure.
or hard topics that you've kind of maybe corrected me a little bit on, but even those I appreciate it because it's practice for the hard conversations,
Right.
and and I know that you're very self-aware, you're very observant of what's going on, how people are acting, and some of the conversations that we've had, you've kind of asked me more questions about that particular thing,
Sure.
and just to try to draw more out of me, and truly understand what it is I'm trying to say. And then, when we were talking in the beginning of the episode here, God first,
Yep.
and you always remind me that. And I would never take offense to it. I would always hear what you had to say, and really think about it,
Okay.
and try to put it into perspective. So, that's something that I know was a part of this agreement that we, this maybe nonverbal agreement we had from day one. But
Sure.
I needed somebody to guide me down, guide me down the path.
Okay.
And when you texted me on January 1, it was, you had basically signed up for that role without knowing it, and
Yeah.
you gladly accepted. And
Yeah, we're going to get into that. I have one more question for you first.
sure.
And trust me, you hold me accountable just as much. You know what I mean? When I look at you and I look at what we're doing in our friendship and, basically chasing God together, right? That holds me accountable as well. But my question for you is, are you willing to call me up and hold me accountable if you feel like, you know what, Jam? What's going on with Jam? Jam, like, just because maybe I was a catalyst to assist you finding
Sure.
God doesn't mean that, we're on an even playing field, but
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I need somebody that's gonna, smash the iron together for me and hold me
Yeah.
accountable and help me, work through things in my life.
Yeah, that's part of the agreement as far as I saw it. I know we never put it on paper or anything like
Right.
that, but I do know that that's part of the agreement. I know that those are your expectations as well.
Sure.
And gladly do it if if it were necessary, if that opportunity were there, because that's what it's going to take, man. And
Absolutely.
I want to be able to be that guy for you too, so
I appreciate that.
yeah, anytime, just let me know when you need me, and I'm there, dude.
100%. All right. So let's talk about, we touched on it. We'll talk about our history a little bit. I remember, so I met Ryan through an old business partner of his at a gym. It was pretty obvious this guy was from New York and I was from New York. And, we started chatting and I met Ryan. And I would say we probably know each other for maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
Approximately.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But I've gotten to know you since January 1st with that text message. Ryan owns Bighorn Firearms. Once I started going there, I was selling guns at the same time via a pawn shop. So completely different business model. But, if somebody was looking for something that I didn't have, Bighorn, and I've had, guys come in and say, hey, Bighorn sent me down here because you didn't have what they were looking for, And, we developed this cool relationship, but never super deep. I know you, man, you would reach out to me like, hey, I got tickets to a Broncos game, or hey, you want to do this? And I was always like, I can. Either, I had plans or, the family or whatever.
Yep.
And then
Life stuff.
Yeah, life.
Yeah.
Life. Like, I'm the busiest person I know. And I know we're all busy. We all probably think we're the busiest, but life stuff.
Yeah.
And then I just remember this past New Year's Day. Like, I woke up and I was like, man, I'm not busy. And like, the very first thing I thought of was, I wonder if Bighorn's open today. And by the way, I haven't bought a gun anywhere else besides Bighorn for the last decade. Like, I am loyal to their shop. There are people there. The vibe, the culture is just amazing. And we'll get more into that later.
Not only that, but you've brought all of your best friends and
Right.
People you would consider family to buy guns
Yeah.
from Bighorn.
Anybody
too.
need a
Yeah.
gun, you go to
Yeah.
Bighorn,
Yeah.
Do you have a place you recommend? I only recommend one place. If you want to go look other places, that's up to you, but I buy my guns at Bighorn. But anyway, I was like, I wonder if Bighorn's open, because it's like, I knew I could go down there and hang out and not be in a rush. And I text you like, hey, are you open today? And your response was very interesting to me. And you said, not for business. And I was like, Well, what are you open for then? And I'll kind of let you take it from here a little bit.
Oh man. Yeah, I was probably still pretty well intoxicated at that point, and I'm just going to be honest here.
Of course.
We had some friends over that night. We stayed up kind of late, having a good time. Some of
Mhm.
our really good friends too. And there was no drama. It was
Right.
it was a great night. We just stayed up real late and consumed a lot of alcohol. And I don't think, even if I did sleep for a couple hours that night, I don't think I slept well. And I think it was pretty early when you had texted me. I think maybe I had gone for a walk with the dog already that morning,
I was
though, in the
probably up
snow.
since like 5.
Yeah, the usual, right? The not drinking,
Right.
AM wake up call, and it was just this moment where I was just really reflecting, and I just knew I was missing something from my life, and I had pursued all the other things to make my mind stronger, make my body stronger, and I just felt like something was still missing, and I knew God was pursuing me
Mm.
for easily a solid year, maybe 2 before that. Um, we can go all the way back to the beginning, but my wife started attending church probably a year and a half ago, 2 years maybe, since we moved up into the Thornton area, and I never really asked her why I mean, maybe I did, but she wasn't necessarily giving me the whole story. So God was kind of knocking at my door there. Um, I was hanging out with people that were followers of Christ openly, guys that I respect in a way. You being one of those people, and when you changed your company from Conceal One to Full Armor, it was even more obvious, and you were being even more open about it. And I
Sure.
thought that was badass. I didn't say it, but I thought it. I was like, that's really cool. I wasn't digging deep though yet.
Right.
And a couple other guys in my life in a men's group that was led by a friend of mine, and all the guys know each other from church there. So again, God knocking at my door. We did a turkey hunt 2 springs ago, and I got to spend some real good time with my friend who leads this other group. And I asked him, I was like, did you have like a come to Jesus moment? Like, what was it like? I was driving out to the turkey hunt that day on 285, and the big cross up on the
Oh
mountainside
yeah.
there. I was driving, knowing who I was going to meet, and boom, all of a sudden the cross was just like in my face. And I was like, whoa, I was taken back. And so this is about a year prior,
Uh-huh.
right? So hopefully I'm not too all over the place here with
No,
this
this is
story.
great. I love it.
So we were having lunch that day after we chased a turkey through the woods. Awesome turkey hunt. Didn't end up with a bird, but had, I would say, the full turkey hunt experience minus the bird. And so I cooked up some lunch because I'm the type of guy who always brings some hot lunch in his hunting pack. So we were sitting there, and I asked him, I was like, "Did you have the come to Jesus moment?" Because I didn't know, like, what is it like when you commit? Like, what is it like when you all of a sudden are saved? And
Right.
I just had no idea. And so I just kept running into people who were living God first.
Mm.
And they were, whether there was through work, going out and looking at a gun collection, and the lawyer guy who was in charge of the estate that I was interacting with just started making conversation, and Jesus became part of the conversation. And I was just like, whoa, I was taking notes,
Huh.
I was making notes that this continued to come up and keep happening. I did a Christmas service at Flatirons. Then another year went by, and we're coming up on another Christmas. And Grace asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I said a Bible. And she was surprised
What?
by that
Right.
response. But I was serious. I was like, I want a Bible because I want to figure out what this is all about. And I'd become more of a reader in the last couple years than I had been in a very long time. Since maybe elementary school or junior high, I was a big reader. And, kind of just got away from that for a long time. So I figured reading was the answer because I've been able to sharpen myself through reading a lot. Iron sharpens iron. We're back to that here, full circle. But reading, there's a couple ways you learn in life, either from your own experiences or from other people's experiences. And if you don't have direct access to these other people, some of the greats in life, some of the biggest success stories, the way that you have access to them is through books that they've written. So I became a reader again through a program. I had done 75 hard, and so I figured the Bible was the way to get started here. But I really had no clue how to start there either.
Where do you start?
Yeah,
do you start from page 1?
Yeah, I tried that. It didn't really work. No. So so I got the Bible for Christmas, and a few days later. So I knew I was already, I was making the moves and positioning myself to commit to this. And January 1, it was the new year, and that was the day. And then you texted me, and I already knew that I was making the move. I was going to make the call. I just didn't know who to call yet. And then you texted me, and that was the moment that I knew.
After you said not open for business, I was like, I think I started poking a little bit, like asking questions, just trying to pump you for some info. And you said something to the effect of, I just feel like I need more God in my life. And I was just like, I read it a couple times and I'm like, done, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was that next Saturday you came to Red Rocks with me. But what's so cool is your wife and kids were going to Flatirons, and you started leading them going there, which I think is so appropriate and the right thing to do for the father and the husband, or I should say the husband and the father, to lead their family and going to church is super important. So
yeah,
that was a wild week.
It was. I wasn't expecting it to go down like that, but I knew I couldn't push it off any longer. And the opportunity was right in front of me. When you texted me asking me if I was open, I was like, this is the opportunity for me to take the next steps and really, know that I have another man to go to talk about this stuff with, because I don't really find myself in my work environment. I don't necessarily find myself surrounded by men of faith at work. And that's been honestly pretty hard for me since I started moving down this path in a really serious way, because I want to share how much better this is making my life with those guys, but I want to share it in the right way where it doesn't turn them off.
Sure.
They can see how God is doing things in my life. It doesn't need to be with the words. It needs to be through the actions.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some people, if you try to shove a Bible down their throat, they've already been through that, or if you try to hit them over the head with it, they've already been like that. But when you live your life in a way that just exudes Christ, and they see how happy you are and how you work through adversity and how steadfast you are, they're like, I want some of what Ryan has. You know what I mean?
That's what got me.
Yeah. The thing is, though, you don't want to shut. What I found for me is I'm now speaking about God more in front of non-believers, unashamedly. You know what I mean? I don't shove it down their throat. I don't hit them over the head, but I'm very open. When people tell me they're missing something in their lives, I'm very open. Like, have you ever thought about God?
Yeah,
He will fill that up real quick.
Yeah, that is a fact.
So by you not, anywhere you go, you're going to be the minority, unless you're at church. When you're out in the world, you're going to run into believers, and it's kind of cool. It's like you have an immediate understanding with a true believer, but you're going to be surrounded by more people that don't believe or people that have church hurt. But the thing is you may be the catalyst that makes them question it. Like, oh, maybe I do want to learn a little bit.
Yeah, and that's exciting to me.
Yeah, and it's gonna happen. And my buddy Vinny, he used to tell me, because I remember one day I was like, "Hey man, somebody asked me a question about God," and he just looked at me, he smiled. He's like, that means that God trusts you right now. And I was like, "Whoa, that's badass." Yeah. So
yeah, I've found out that this whole God thing is way more badass than I thought it was, and digging into scripture and reading some things. I mean, I didn't really prepare to dig into my notes on my phone on my Bible app or anything like that, but there's just some things, and I've shared them with you, and I've texted them to you from the daily verse that you got me hooked on.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just some things you read them, and when you really think about what it's saying, it's hard to think that it's not badass, and that Jesus was a total badass, dude.
Right.
Like a badass, and that's freaking cool, man, because, I've tried to put myself, I always try to put myself in other people's shoes. I've tried to do that more as I got older, right? And being in business and in customer service, you have to learn how to do that. And especially when you start doing volume, you start to experience things that you didn't experience before. And it will benefit you greatly if you learn to put yourself in other people's shoes. You can help them better. You can come to resolutions. You can come to agreements easier. And so I've been, ever since I started on this journey, especially coming up on Easter, I thought a lot about what it must have been like to be Jesus, or be there with him, 2,000 years ago, doing these things that people were going to write about and read about for the next 2,000 years. I mean, that's just like an incredible thing to think about. His actions, his story has lived on for 2,000 years, and people live their lives in pursuit of trying to be more like him 2,000 years later. I mean, that's just like an incredible thing to think about.
Sure.
And I kind of lost track of exactly where I was going with it, but I've just, him being a badass,
Right.
Flipping the tables, man, like,
Right.
being, not anti-religion, but calling out the religious leaders for being like, not practicing what they preach, and not starting on the inside,
He was anti-religion.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. The Pharisees were these religious zealots, and he had a big problem with them because, they would say one thing, and on the outside they look good, but the inside they were rotten.
Yeah.
And that's what the whole Sermon on the Mount's about is, it says, thou shalt not commit murder, right? And, they're like, well, I never murdered. Yeah, but have you ever hated your brother in your heart? It's the same thing. Or shall not commit adultery, right? Oh, well, I've never cheated on my wife, or I've never cheated on my husband. Yeah, but have you ever had a lustful eye? Because it's the same. Like, he just, took everything away from those people and just made everybody even. The gift of grace is scandalous. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, you could go to church every Sunday. You could give your 10% in tithe. You could go do this thing in a food bank, but you're no better than the other person that just accepted Jesus in his heart.
Right.
So yeah, that was a big problem for those people, because they were all doing all these works to find favor with God, and God's like, none of that matters.
Yeah.
I love them just as much.
Yeah, he was calling their bullshit out loud, real loud too, and they did what they did to him for it, and in turn, he died for our sins on the cross, and it's like, that whole, just the way that whole thing transpired, and that whole episode, and just picturing that, like what they, like the death that he died because of him speaking out against their bullshit, really shows you what the guy stood for.
Absolutely.
And he was willing to die for it. And that's a pretty incredible thing, man. It's Easter was really inspiring for me this past year, especially starting fresh on January 1st, and then coming up on Easter pretty quick, it really put a lot into perspective, and it strengthened some of the relationships I have because I got to talk about Jesus with some family members that I kind of knew had been on the path for a while, but I hadn't really touched base with them on it and let them know that, I had decided to follow.
Right.
And it's been the best part of my year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's been a pretty tough year. So I mean, I guess maybe that's just not saying a whole lot. But man, if it wasn't for that, I'd be having a pretty crummy year, I feel like. And it's really helped me a lot with maintaining. I haven't been perfect, but it's helped me be there with my family.
Sure.
When I'm in the home with them.
Yep.
I may not be always perfect and always the most pleasant dude to be around because I have a lot of different things I'm wrestling with and figuring out, but it has helped me maintain and show them that, what's most important to me. So
yeah, being a Christian leader of your household, that's amazing. Have you felt attacked by the enemy at all? Because a lot of times, once you start believing, you get baptized, it seems people like will come under attack by the enemy, like it gets harder, not easier. Being a believer and follower of Christ, it's not easier, it's better. Sometimes it's harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't
felt that?
I might have to think about that some more. I know I have. I'm just not I've been able to kind of like, ward him off
right
very easily,
sure.
I think, because I have these new weapons. So,
what a great testimony.
Yeah.
Your testimony is amazing. Your testimony will be your ministry. You have automatic authority to speak on the things that you've done to come to Christ. So, yeah, but before you know it, somebody's going to be asking you some questions and you're going to be able to be, hey, come with me.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
In my past life, I've always had guys who are close to me come to me with like major
problems,
life things.
Right.
I've always, for some reason, had that role too. So I do look for the opportunity to be that guy again and to, tie this into it.
Powerful.
And yeah.
All right, Ryan, let's move over to some guts and guns.
Cool.
First thing I want to ask you, as a self-defender, right? You are a concealed carrier, you're a firearm store owner. What advice would you give to others who want to protect themselves and potentially others? What's some of your top advice?
Be situationally aware at all times.
Yep.
De-escalate. Avoid conflict if you can.
Sure.
I think, and then you're likely to not have to use a weapon or something like that in self-defense. I've always found myself like I'm a smaller guy in stature,
I don't know, you look pretty
shorter,
buff, bro.
Okay, well, shorter. I'm a shorter person.
Okay.
I'm in the short category, 5'8", roughly. And so I've often encountered, people, I don't know if they just don't like my mustache or
you look like a cop,
or something like that. But I've definitely had people just kind of like target me in the past because they're having a bad day and they just think I'm the guy that they're going to get over on. So, ever since starting to carry a gun, which has been well over 10 years now, it's something I have to be really aware of. People tend to gravitate towards me, feels like sometimes when they're having a bad day. And so de-escalating is a really important thing to know how to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example? Can you give the viewers an example of what you would do to de-escalate a situation?
Talk calmly, maybe try to relocate the interaction. So let's say I'm in my store and somebody has got a problem with me or they're acting out of line.
Has that happened at Bighorn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not located in the best neighborhood.
Right.
It's because of our location though being pretty nondescript. Well, it's now we got the big window graphics and stuff like that. We call a little more attention to ourselves. So, um, people just wandering through, you know, s- homeless people sleeping in the mailroom or something like that.
Mm.
And, I have to ask them politely, hey, dude, you're going to have to move along. And they're like, who the hell are you? And it's like, look, man, I'm nobody, but I am a tenant here. And, you can't sleep in the room, in the mailroom. It makes people feel uncomfortable. Um, or a drunk guy came in one day and was getting just talking crazy gibberish and stuff and cruising around the showroom and making people uncomfortable. And so I approached him and said, hey, man, come outside with me real quick. I want to talk to you out front. And when I came at him like that, just real friendly, like, hey, let's go out front and talk. He had no problem going out there with me. And then I immediately removed him from the situation, made it a better situation for everybody else. I still had to further de-escalate and get him to want to actually physically leave and walk off the property. But it was real easy for me. I just started kind of chatting him up and kind of changed the subject a little bit because he was immediately he was initially being pretty aggressive to everybody in the store. And when I approached him, he kind of got like caught off guard with my friendliness. I pulled him out front. We talked a little bit, and then I said, it's pretty busy in the showroom. I got to get back to it, man, but you have a great day. And I just walked back in. Luckily, we do have a controlled entry on the store,
Sure.
so you can't just.
Did he try to follow you back in or no?
No, he kind of he got the message and just moved along. But
Great job, man.
yeah.
That's some good conflict de-escalation. Your story reminds me. So I used to be a bouncer at a pretty popular club downtown, and I was getting into a lot of scraps. And when I would go to throw somebody out, it was typically, you got to get out of here and hands on. And there was this guy. You might remember him. Do you remember the big South African guy, Big Mike? He's like 6'7", like 300 something pounds.
No, I don't think I ever got kicked out of that club.
So he was this big South African guy, and he had the coolest accent. And I mean, basically, he could tell you that he's about to murder you and your family, but it sounded so polite. It was just like, okay, yeah, let's do it, So anyway, he's like, Jam, you want to see how to kick somebody out? I'm like, yeah. So the next time we had to kick somebody out, he walks up to him and he says, hey, my name's Mike, and I'm part of the courtesy patrol here. Can I talk to you outside for a minute? And didn't wait for the guy to answer and just walked out. And the guy just felt like he had to follow him. And he followed him right outside and was like, he's like, you can't come back in. And that was it.
Wow.
And I started doing that, and it worked like 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yep. So I like your
same idea.
I like your strategy for sure. Okay. Good stuff. Let's talk a little bit about your fitness journey, what you're currently doing to stay in shape. On episode 1, I just talked about people being at their absolute best, no matter where that is. Like, you don't have to be, not that I'm any good, but you don't have to be at my best or your best. Well, you need to be at your best, but everyone has their own absolute best. But I think a lot of people, they think, I'm just going to buy the best guns and then I'm the best.
Right.
To me, being your very best is being able to be situational aware, practicing your soft skills. But a big part of it is being fit, and people are willing to die for their families. But you see some people, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but it's like, well, are you willing to live for your family? Like, can you change your eating habits and work out a little bit and become fit so you could be alive for them, for a long time instead of, you look like you might have 5 or 10 years left. So,
yeah.
What do you do?
Well, diet is a really big focus of mine. And for me personally, I have to be, if I want to be at my best, I got to be at my best when it comes to my diet.
Okay.
Count my macros, eating clean, because my body just, I kind of balloon real quick when I start eating junk.
Okay, so when you say eating clean, what does that mean?
Eating clean, man, it can be embarrassing for me sometimes because, I will read every label on every package. Like, I go into the gas station because I need a snack or something, And I'm reading the label on snacks in the gas station. Like, good luck, man. Like
Right.
if you're hungry and you're eating from the gas station, you have to be a little flexible.
Yeah.
Or you got to know, do your homework and know what you can go to. No seed oils. Ever since I went on a real clean diet, this is eating protein, cooking all my own food, not eating out at all. No soft drinks. Very little alcohol or no alcohol. Clean protein. No bread. Bread is really bad unless it's sourdough.
Real sourdough, not sourdough you buy at Walmart.
Yeah. They might have one good sourdough at Walmart, but you got to read the ingredients.
There should only be 3.
Yeah, there should only be 3 in sourdough. It's like water, salt, and yeast or something like that. Or flour, so 4. And even then, keeping your carbs to like 100 grams or less is usually like a good point for most people. If you want to be lean, if you want to have a 6-pack, keep your carbs at like 100, maybe 120 on a day where you go real hard or something like that.
Okay.
You got to have a little flexibility. I've heard a lot of people preach the 80-20 thing. For me, that doesn't work. For my body, 80-20 is total bullshit because if you think you're running 80-20, you're running probably 70-30,
Right.
And unless you're counting your macros.
And when you say 80-20, you mean you're eating good 80% of the time and you don't really
fucking off 20% of the time.
Gotcha.
Sorry, we bleeped that one out.
Maybe.
Messing off 20% of the time. For me, it's like 95-5.
Right.
And or really for anybody, if you do that, you quit soft drinks, you quit alcohol, you move your body 5 days a week, for 90 minutes, maybe start at 45,
Sure.
work up to 60, then maybe move up to 90, but split it in half, do 45 and 45. You'll make progress quickly. And quickly is like 30 days, 40 days, I've had results in as little as 24 days by just eating right, sticking to the diet, clean, counting the macros, hitting those numbers, lifting and doing some cardio. But it's a big commitment, and for me, it in the past, at some points, it's felt like I can't give myself any grace when it comes to like my diet or working out.
Sure.
Because I think I'm a perfectionist. So that becomes a problem for me because what I see in the mirror is probably a lot different than what you see in the mirror, or what you see when you look at me, right? So, eat right, eat well, eat a lot of protein, cut out the junk food, cut out the alcohol, stop drinking soda, and move your body. And, you'll drop that 20, 30 pounds in 50, 60 days. But the other big thing is consistency.
Yes.
Over time.
Yeah, there's no cheat day.
Yeah.
You may have a cheat meal here or there, but
Sure.
there's no cheat days.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to train your brain, do 75 hard. No cheat days for 75 days. That will change the things in your brain that make you want to do a cheat day. You won't want to do a cheat day. You won't even want to do a cheat snack.
Right.
You forget a cheat meal. You're not even going to want to touch a cheat snack.
The satisfaction of sticking to the program is greater than the satisfaction you're going to get from that cookie.
Yes. And compounding the wins over time. If you screw up, today's day 1. Just start going again. And if you do, let's say I just attempted 75 hard with a friend. I got to day 45. I couldn't take it anymore.
45 hard.
Yeah, it was a 45 hard. And then, you know what? I screwed up. I took 2 more days on top of that to just chill. And then I hit it again and I ran another 10 days. That's in the last 60 days, I had 55 days on point.
Sure.
So just stack your wins. Don't be so hard on yourself when you quit, but you got to build good habits and you got to be committed, consistent, and it just takes time. Nothing worthwhile happens overnight. You're not going to see results. Another good thing, if you start on the fitness journey and you're just getting started, take daily progress pictures and string them together, because you may not be seeing the difference in 20 days, but if you look at picture from day one, and you look at picture for day 20, and you've been honest with yourself on those 20 days, and you've been doing the right things, when you look at those pictures, you'll see a difference. Drink lots of water too. Don't forget about that.
I would say, just to add to the eating clean thing, eat raw, or not even raw, but eat
whole foods.
Whole foods. Yeah, exactly. Foods that have one ingredient. Steak. What's in steak? Steak.
Yep.
If you're eating strawberries, what's in strawberries? Strawberries.
Yeah.
Don't eat things with labels on them. I'm pretty good about that. The only thing that I currently eat with labels is I'm not going to cook rice. So I get these bowls of rice from Costco, and they're delicious. They got labels on them. That, and I think oatmeal. That's it, And everything else is all whole food, raw whole foods.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's your food is your best friend when it comes to fitness
and
living a healthy life.
If you look in my fridge, you'll see eggs, egg whites, some fruit, and meat.
Yep, that's it, man. Yeah.
I eat nuts, avocados, put some good healthy fats, But yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, no dairy.
I'm not a dairy guy.
Yeah.
I love cheese, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I don't like milk, but I love cheese, but I just haven't been eating it.
I do a little cheese, but I've been trying to keep it to a few things like things that I know that have very limited ingredients in them. Like Parmesan Reggiano, that's a good one. In an ounce of that, there's 10 grams of protein.
Oh, okay.
And it's it's very easy to digest. All Parmesan is from raw milk.
Okay.
So it's not pasteurized milk. So raw cheeses are easier to digest. So if you are dairy sensitive, you might try something like that if it's something you really love and need an extra source of protein, and try to, you want to keep the food somewhat exciting too, so you don't just get totally bored with it and just throw in the towel. So, but yeah, same thing. Eggs every day, just about every day. I've kind of backed off a little bit. I've been doing some protein shakes, which can be really bad too. Be careful with your protein shakes, man.
Yeah.
Those, they can be loaded with all sorts of gums and filler stuff. There's very few out there, I think, that are really clean. But at the end of the day, it's typically easier to digest than eating other things like protein bars or something like that.
The protein bars are super. Yeah. You got to watch those even more.
I was eating one of those when you showed up at the house today.
I saw that.
That one's pretty clean. I think it 4 ingredients or something like that.
Nice.
And not terribly tasty. Or not too bad or too chalky. It's pretty tasty. But it does have a high fat content. So if you're doing counting macros, depending on how you're set up, that could be a problem. You could burn up a lot of your fat in one bar like that.
Heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot of, so I do, that's the other thing that has a label is I do a pre-workout, an intra, and a post-workout, and I just feel like around my workout time, that's the easiest way for me to get the nutrients and the calories and the protein that I need. Other than that, it's all whole foods.
You got to think about it too, man. If your pre-workout stuff has got some stevia in it, or some natural flavors or something, dude. I've had to convince myself, hey, 90-10, or 95-10, you got to also put it into perspective. Go walk out to the shopping mall and look at.
Right.
1 out of 10 people today is fit.
Right.
Probably maybe 2 out of 10.
Sure.
So, even if you're flexing a little bit on some, our bodies are built with filters in them. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at the most unhealthy person, they're still walking around alive, man.
Right.
They're probably experiencing a lot more pain than they realize they are, because, our brains also turn those pain receptors off, and we learn to live with that pain.
Sure.
That inflammation and all that stuff. And that's so funny because I never realized that certain foods affected me that way.
Right.
I just dealt with it. I was like, oh, I got heartburn, it's just because I have heartburn, It's
Right.
no, it's because you ate big ass fried chicken fried in like peanut oil or something,
Right.
and you're freaking allergic to it, man. Like it doesn't work for your body. And until you remove those things and then reintroduce them, you don't realize the ones that are causing you the most trouble. If I go out and eat fried food out, most times, I would say 9 out of 10 times, maybe 9.5 out of 10 times, I can immediately feel inflammation in through my sinuses, and my nose kind of gets stuffy feeling, and I get very nasally sounding.
I was going to ask you if you want to go to 5280 Burger after this, but never mind.
Absolutely. I'll have a burger, probably skip the bun. I don't know. I did do a 2-mile run today, and it was hot.
Yeah.
And I ran like I think I ran like a 9-minute pace on that. It was a short run, but I wanted to get it in so I could get my head straight and get my step goal for the day.
Nice.
By the end of the day. So
yeah, the one thing I would say is if you are eating clean and sticking to it, every once in a while you are going to have that pizza. Enjoy it. If you're going to do it, enjoy it, and then change gears right after. Like, all right, you know what? I had 3 slices of pizza. It was delicious. I enjoyed it. It's time to get back focused. Don't just because you slip up one time doesn't mean you have to blow up your whole week or month or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or day.
Yeah. Or you go out when we go to 5280 Burger here after we get done. I'm not going to eat the entire basket of fries.
Right.
I'm just going to have.
I'll eat the rest.
I'll have a few and I'll be satisfied.
I'm about a 50-50 right now. So
yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe they fry those in beef tallow or something.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. There's a spot up in Boulder of all places, right? And they do their fries in beef tallow, and they're phenomenal.
Yeah, I got to get on the beef tallow train. Keep hearing good things about that.
It's awesome.
All right, Ryan. One of the things I wanted to talk about is Bighorn Firearms. You guys are more than a gun store. My favorite gun store, I've already mentioned. The vibe in there, the look, the feel. I've watched you go from, I think this is your third, definitely your second shop, maybe your third. I don't know if you moved twice or maybe you knocked down a wall or.
So.
Because you were upstairs on the other side when I first started coming around.
Yeah, 4 versions now.
Okay.
There was the office with the little side room.
Okay.
And
I don't think I was around for that.
No. That was about a year or so of that. And then I was splitting this suite with another guy, and he had an office at the other end. And we had like a little shared conference room that we could utilize. And then he moved out after a year. I took the full suite and opened that up, and that was the showroom that you first came to upstairs at the Jasmine Office Park off South Jasmine Street here in Denver, 2175 South Jasmine Street.
Plug it.
Suite 105. Can't miss us now. Look for the American flag and the cool window graphics.
It is pretty cool.
So that was version 2 when I actually had the first showroom. That's when I first met you. Then in 2019, we moved downstairs into a 2,000 square foot unit from like probably 1,000 square feet.
Double the size.
Yeah, to 2,000 square feet. And then in 2023, we had the opportunity to lease the unit to the south of us, which had a shared entrance. And so we scooped that up and demoed everything all out and added a classroom, doubled the size of the showroom, increased the size of the gunsmithing operation, which is run by Sean at Sovereign Armory, super talented gunsmith, and Cerakoter, if you want. I don't actually think that's a word. I think Cerakote has a issue with using Cerakote as a verb. Cerakote applicator.
There you go.
And super talented gun customizer. And then we added some more office space, more storage, got new displays in there. I mean, we went really all out on this current version right now. And I think that's just where we're at for a while, unless we, maybe second location or something, maybe closer to home up here, a north location is a big possibility, is something I've been thinking about for a long time. A few times I've been kind of ready to get the wheels rolling on that one, but they changed the landscape on us. So I want to figure out how things look over the next year or so with maybe even the next 6 months, I'll be pretty satisfied with knowing how things are going to go with the new Colorado Firearms dealer division. So we have a state ATF now, basically.
Yeah.
So we'll see how things go with that. And once we kind of get that figured out and rolling, we may, start to really push on a second location. So,
that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Probably the thing that's been most impressive with all your changes is your inventory. Like, you have some real nice, like, high level firearms in there.
Yeah, we did in the last year or so kind of push hard into the mid to high end offerings, and especially in the tactical realm. So we brought in products from HK, and got in direct with HK. So now we get MR556 and MR762s, and we've got SP5s, SP5Ks, hanging on the wall any given day. LMT, Lewis Machine Tool. We get them out of a local wholesaler here in Denver. So we have LMT stuff on hand. Most days, a pretty good selection of that. Either you can build something out, or we might even have a couple complete rifles, factory builds, ready to go. Noveski, Q, who we just hosted an event with a couple weeks ago that had a great turnout. We're a Night Force dealer. We carry products from Radian. We do silencers. We got a silencer shop kiosk. I don't know, and then all the normal stuff, Glocks, Smith & Wesson revolvers. Right. We got a good selection of 1911s. We got some cool cowboy stuff, some military surplus, which I may or may not have brought a little something with me today to look at.
Yeah.
And then, it's just.
It seems cool. Like you guys used to do a lot of old, like, relics. Are you still doing your share of that, or have you changed gears to more of the modern rifles?
Well, we maybe had more like on the floor, but I wouldn't say we sold more of that than we did like Glocks and, kind of run-of-the-mill AR-15s. But we do sell a lot of that online. It's still, the old guns are still a passion of mine personally. I really enjoy that stuff, especially World War II U.S. military stuff. Cowboy stuff for sure. Big Buffalo Bill fan. Guys like Frank Hamer, a Texas Ranger who, captured Bonnie and Clyde with his crew. I love that, like, old Western folklore and that American history, Americana aspect to all the guns. I mean, it's art, man, but it's a part of history, and they're tools, man. Like, we live in the state of Colorado, and the state of Colorado now hates guns, but this state wouldn't exist if it weren't for guns, man. Like,
so crazy. We're in the Wild West, and we're not in the Wild West anymore. It's
wild, but in a different way, and like, in like pink hair and booty shorts way,
Yeah, it's disappointing to say the least. So tell us a little bit about the start, because I love how you started Bighorn to end up where you're at now. To me, it's just wild.
Yeah. So I went back to New York to visit some friends, and I'll go a little bit further back. My dad was a big military history buff. He was in the Navy. He used to drag me around to all the little military museums along the Hudson River Valley, Revolutionary War sites and Civil War sites. We would go up to West Point, visit the military museum at West Point. So I grew up like staring at like military stuff, guns and vehicles and things like that, and watching documentaries on the TV with my dad about Vietnam and this, that, and the other thing. And it took me, when I started Bighorn, I wasn't really thinking about that, but it did all come full circle once I was like in, and I realized, oh, this is part of the reason why I love this stuff so much was, it definitely reminds me of a simpler time,
Sure.
That these great memories I had with my dad. Go down to the Intrepid in New York City and cruise around on the decks of the Intrepid. Super cool museum. Love that, dude. That was like one of my favorite that we did, because you get to go on the boat in the water and look at all this aircraft, and then go through the boat and look at all this stuff and see all the weapons.
I went with my grandfather when I lived out there.
Yeah, really cool experience. I'd like to actually take a trip back there and go to the Intrepid with the kids, and kind of bring that full circle again. So anyway, I went back to New York. Friends had bought some guns, and I'm just like, dang, dude, like these guys are buying guns. And I was really intrigued and getting to get like hands on with them. I was like, dude, you guys can own this stuff here? Because I thought,
Right.
guns. We walked in the gun shops a couple times before I moved from New York to Colorado, but nobody ever really bought anything. We just went in kind of looking, and it always seemed like it was a big hassle to buy a gun. So it never happened. Then I came back to Colorado, and I was like, well, shoot, let me see what it takes to buy guns in Colorado. Go in, fill out a 4473. An hour later, I got a cool shotgun. My first gun I bought was a Winchester Model 1300 Defender,
Wow.
a 12 gauge classic pump action shotgun with the walnut furniture. Really cool gun. Still have that one. And I bought that from the Easy Pawn on South Broadway,
I love it.
across from the Goodwill over there.
Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about? The circle one.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was where I bought my first gun out here.
Is that Inglewood?
Yeah, on the other south of 285.
Yeah, I pawned a gun there one time
yeah.
on hard times.
Yep. So then I bought a couple more, got a couple handguns, and I was like visiting these, like kind of like I was doing the pawn shop thing, and then I ended up at Scotty's Guns up on Colfax a couple times.
Wow.
Bought a gun up there, a little like 5-shot Taurus 38.
That place is in a good neighborhood.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that was pretty wild, man. That was a weird experience in there. It was like that, kind of like that falling down. Have you ever seen that movie with Michael Douglas? Like, walking in there was kind of like walking in the gun shop in that movie.
Yeah, he like sleeps in the store.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, with the Rottweiler. And, it was wild. So, but it was like, for me, like I liked a little more grit, but at the same time, it was like these places were like gritty to the point of like, most people would be uncomfortable. So I was like, all right, I'm really digging this gun thing. How do I get access to cheaper guns and cheaper ammo? It's like, oh, you got to get an FFL. So, I saw the opportunity to do a really cool gun store, with some character, but like also clean and inviting, well lit, friendly, basically do the gun store thing, but nice. I freaking ran with it, man. And I guess that's kind of the Bighorn history, man. Got the FFL out of the house originally, and then found an office space, started doing that, did some gun shows. Couple of events happened, shootings and things like that really caused people to panic and start buying guns when they talk about gun control on a federal level. So that forced more traffic my way, early on in the business. I mean, it's unfortunate that, it wasn't necessarily the events that caused the people to go look for the guns. It's the talk of gun control.
Right.
That forces people to go do it.
It's like a circle.
Yeah.
Like there'll be a active shooter, then there's threats to take guns away, and then everybody goes buys guns.
Yeah. And it runs through a cycle every few years, really, and then politics too, just like, big elections and things like that cause people to go buy a lot of guns. So, if you're in the gun business, you can always count on these like big surges of gun buying. So
it's got to be pretty nuts right now.
It's been like solid for us, but most of the gun control's on a state level right now. They're talking about like opening things wide open on the federal level.
Right.
So
NFA items.
Yeah. So that's kind of got people like pulling back a little bit right now. But we've kind of leaned into this, more serious community who just loves guns and loves the culture and loves competing and just it's a part of their life. And we've really tapped into that with the products we offer, the service, the employees that we have on the staff that we have. And, so that's really been a huge part of our like continued success, even through the hard times when some other shops may struggle. I think it's like, we really have our thumb on the pulse of the industry and what's going on in the community, the people who are really truly passionate about it. And we're starting to draw those people in, and they're starting to find us. And then they're calling Bighorn home, which, makes us hopeful for the future, even when they put more restrictions on, like SB 25003, which goes into effect next August. If it goes into effect and there's not, well, it will have to go into effect for them to file a lawsuit against it and hopefully temporarily enjoin it and maybe permanently defeat it.
Sure.
But that bill will require people to have a special license administered by the Department of Wildlife to purchase an assault rifle, because you hunt with assault rifles, right? So that makes sense that Department of Wildlife would actually oversee that whole thing.
Right.
They don't oversee the concealed carry permits, so why would they oversee a permit to own an assault rifle?
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
So my understanding is you'll have to have either hunter education, right? And then I think 4 hours of training or 12 hours of training. Like
right.
Something crazy, and they're gonna be in charge, right?
Yeah. So if you have hunter safety, you can do the short class basically, and then obtain the license. And if you do not have hunter safety, then you get the pleasure of doing the long class. And I don't know if during the long class you will actually qualify for hunter safety too, which would work out fine for the people who want to hunt.
Sure.
Because then you can kind of kill two birds with one stone, right? But people who aren't truly passionate about this and who aren't really into the culture and aren't going to jump through those hoops. But I talked to a lot of people in our store who already have basically said, it doesn't matter what they put in front of us. Right. We're going to do it just to do it, because we love it, So that has me hopeful that, we can navigate through this together as a community and still enjoy our fun toys,
Trevor brought up a good point. He is against, we're all against that, but he brought up the point of people will be deselected because they can't afford the training.
Well, same thing with concealed carry.
Right.
Concealed carry classes went from $100 a person, $150 a person, in some cases 75. Right.
Some free.
Yeah. And those aren't going to be free anymore. Yeah. There's probably not going to be any free classes. And I would say on average, what I've been hearing is concealed carry classes are running about $300 a head now. And not everybody can afford to do that.
Right.
Plus, when do you get to go and submit your application? I don't know. It's like Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, the middle of the week. Not everybody can afford to take a day off of work to go file for a concealed carry permit, So all the new concealed carry laws are making it more difficult from a financial perspective to be able to get that permit as well.
Yeah, I was surprised. I had a class scheduled for the 19th. And my class is a little bit on a less expensive side at $225.
Super fair.
I feel it's more than fair, but I also want people to be able to afford it. I jumped up from $175 to $225 this year with all the new laws and the extra 2 hours of class, the shooting test and the written test and all the things, all the hoops I had to jump through. And I ended up canceling the class because there was a couple people said they were interested and nobody signed up. And I was just like, I'm not taking the risk of two people signing up, and I got to rent a classroom now, and it's more expensive for me to teach it.
Right.
So I was a little bit surprised, but that's happened in the years past too. Like every once in a while, I get a class where people aren't jumping through hoops to get it. But yeah, it's been interesting. So
yeah,
I taught my first class with the new regulations last month, and it went well. It was a good class.
Yeah, it looked like it went smooth, and I saw the class photo, and everybody was smiling. As always. So
try to make it a good time.
Yeah, looks like you put on a little demo for the students too, and I'm sure they appreciated that, enjoyed that, because, dude, I mean, shooting isn't just something that comes natural to most people.
Not for me,
especially for handguns.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother.
Yeah, I'm not. I got to work hard to be a decent shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, me and my buddy Justin, he's actually coming on the podcast next week.
Cool.
He helped me teach, and we did the hostage target steel shoot off at the end, and we both went 10 for 10, and it was like,
it's impressive.
Yeah. He was like, that'll never happen again. I'm like, nope, sure won't. Well, What's your hopes and dreams for Bighorn in the future? I know you did talk about opening another location, but do you have a vision, or are you kind of just staying, waiting for legislation? Or
I just take it one day at a time, man. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I do plan to grow the business.
Right.
That has definitely always been my goal. I'm not somebody who just hits a certain goal and then just is satisfied and it's done. It's like, you got to set a new goal.
Absolutely.
So, you know, maybe a second location here in Colorado, maybe opening up a location outside of Colorado in a different state.
Wow.
I'd like to see Bighorn be a part of the Colorado gun community for as long as I'm alive.
Wow.
So, will I be the main guy behind the counter, 10 years from now? I don't know that. I might be working on a shop in a different state or something to that effect, but or maybe one of my boys, will be running it. I don't know. But I would like to see Bighorn be a fixture in Colorado and if not in the Denver metro area, because there's a lot of people there that need to have access to protection, and defense.
Have you ran into anybody, I would say a woman most likely, who needs to protect herself right away, and now there's a 3-day waiting period to get the gun? Have you ran across that?
I feel like it's been a conversation more than once at the counter.
Okay.
But I've also been away from the counter a lot over the course of the last year
Sure.
or so. But that's going to change here. That's already changed, and I've been back at the counter a lot.
Right.
And I plan to increase my time at the counter more so. But I've heard that conversation more than a few times passing through the showroom. I personally haven't had it with any one individual, and I haven't heard where it was like major a major situation where somebody was like frantic,
Right.
and like totally freaking out. But yeah, it's that is a problem, and there is a lawsuit through RMGO against against that. So and that lawsuit is ongoing. So and that's a real thing, man.
Yeah, for the viewers that don't know, so Colorado used to be, you go in, you fill out the 4473, you get the background check, and depending on how many background checks were being processed at that time is going to be how long you were in the store waiting. It could be 5 hours or it could be 5 minutes. I've had them go through in minutes, and I've had them go through like in hours. Just if there's the whole state's panic buying, it's the system is bogged down, right?
Yeah, earlier this year we had wait times over a week.
Oh wow!
And
before the 3 days.
Yeah, so you're in queue to be processed,
Gotcha.
And then the 3-day wait starts upon approval. So once you've been approved by CBI, it doesn't matter how long the wait time is prior.
Right.
Once you've been approved, then the 72 hours starts.
So the concern from the 2A community is sometimes somebody, male or female, typically a female, may get like an emergency protection order, against somebody else, and go in and get a gun and be able to walk out with a gun that day. And now it's at least a 3-day wait, and it's like, well, what could happen in those 3 days, So that's the controversy.
Yeah. I haven't heard of any particular instances where that has actually cost somebody their life,
right,
or cost them physical harm. But again, it doesn't mean that hasn't happened. But because how often do you hear about the concealed carry guy stopping a mass shooting on the mainstream news?
Not very often,
hardly ever.
Yeah.
So
how many times does it happen though?
Yeah,
more often than you think.
Very often.
Yeah.
So unless you're tapped into those alternative media channels or 2A news, because it does happen very often.
Sure.
So we haven't had like a specific instance that's really been publicized of somebody becoming a victim due to the 3-day wait. And that could change this whole lawsuit very quickly if that were to happen. I hope it doesn't, but an incident like that could really make things take a turn and hopefully get that removed.
Cool. Well, Ryan, you brought a couple toys. One of them, well, I'll let you talk about them, but we're going to do a little bit of show and tell. Ryan brought a couple pieces from his personal collection in, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see them.
So I brought something old and something new.
Love it.
What do you got preference? What do you want to see first?
Whatever your heart desires.
Okay. Let's go with new first.
Okay.
So this is a Daniel Defense Mark 18. I'll just kind of go through like a quick build list on it. Short barrel. I want to say it's 10.5-inch SBR. This is a factory Mark 18 SBR. I've changed a lot of things on this gun and added the obvious accessories like the EOTech EXPS3 on here. I did have a aimpoint PRO on here on a ScalarWorks mount for a while, but it was one of the early ScalarWorks mounts and I actually broke it.
Oh, wow.
No hard feelings to ScalarWorks on that. I think it was an early design and they have addressed the issue with that particular mount. We'll just start from the front and work our way back. Got the AAC 556 SD can on there. Very quiet.
So that's a double tack stamp.
Yes, right? Yeah. SBR and silencer, 2 tack stamps. I haven't paid tax stamps on this because this is a Bighorn gun.
Gotcha.
It's a gun that's on the books. So it is a setup, a personal build. This is a gun that I use when I go out and do training or whatever, demos, that sort of thing. And so currently no Form 4s on this. All these items were Form 3 through another SOT.
Got it.
Yeah.
Do you sorry to interrupt, do you like the EOTech better than other RMRs or other red dots, I should say?
I ended up default putting the EOTech on here when that PRO went out on me.
Okay.
I tend to like just a straight up dot.
Gotcha.
I'm trying some new things out. I've got a RMR HD on a Glock 19 build that we just did at the shop, and that has the full reticle as well, which is different, especially on a pistol. I don't know. I think I like just a simple dot personally.
Gotcha.
But this is what I'm running right now.
Looks cool.
Yeah, it definitely looks the part.
Yeah.
This one is just direct mounted on the EOTech factory mount straight to the rail here, so not on a riser or anything. A lot of guys are running risers because they have lasers and things like that on the top rail now. So you'll see that, and the way to get the optic up over that is to put it up on a riser. So I do like the EOTech. I mean, it's a solid optic. They're definitely worth the money. Battery life on them, I don't think is as good as an Aimpoint. I did like that. I do like that a lot about the Aimpoints. The battery life is really long on those. You can just run it on a third power or something like that, and you can usually pick up third power in most indoor settings. And so I would just leave it on in the safe on a third power. If I were to have to pull the gun out, for a home defense situation or something, it's probably going to be nighttime or indoors. And then at that point too, it's not about turning it on. It's just about turning it up if you go out into a brighter light setting. So it's a quick adjustment. The EOTech, you got to keep it off and then turn it on when it's go time.
Got it.
There are some other sites out there now with shake awake function, which is cool. I don't know of any US made or non-Chinese made optics that have the shake awake function. I think the SIG optics were offering it, but I'm not sure exactly where those made. I wouldn't be surprised if those were made somewhere overseas.
Sure.
So definitely a big fan of these. This is very recognizable. A lot of guys will recognize these right out of the gate.
Sure.
Don't buy cheap optics off Amazon. It's a bad move. You know, if you're going to spend the time and the money and do this, just buy once, cry once is what we say in the shop.
Yep.
So we got the 5.56 can, dedicated 5.56 can. So not a 30 caliber, super quiet 4.556 now, which is just a hard round to tame, especially out of a 10-inch barrel. This gun does run super gassy, and I've done everything I can do aside from putting a flow-through can on this, which is the next step to get this gun to run less gassy.
Sure.
Outdoors, it's not that bad, but if you shoot in an indoor setting, it's pretty toxic. My son, my oldest son, he shot this gun several times before I threw this suppressor on here, and no problem. He hates this gun now. He won't even touch it. We've got I want to say this is a Troy foregrip straight rail attachment. Is cool because you can extend it for a longer like broomstick, or you can go with this shorty. You just have like a little extension piece. This cap screws off and that pops on. So I like it a lot. It's aluminum. It's knurled. It looks cool, you know, and it's really like rugged. Surefire Scout with the pressure pad. This is actually the switch, so it's got a full switch on or off, and then you also have momentary pressure pad on there.
Badass.
1,000 lumens or something. You put that light in somebody's face, they're pretty disoriented. It doesn't even matter if it's nighttime. Right. Then that's on the Haley Strategic offset mount. So kind of gets it up here on the side. So you get it out of this area here. I've got the Knights Armament flip up front and rears on there, just backups. Faro Concept sling, which has got the quick release on that and a little pad, which is nice. Then the little sling keeper here, this is I want to say Neomag makes this thing. It's magnetic. It's called the Century Strap. And I want to say Neomag makes it. It's made here in the USA. It's got a little magnet in there.
Okay.
And it's a little stretchy. It Velcros onto the gun. You can, you know, keep your sling all tucked in nice when it's away. And then you just quick deploy it. Just yank the sling and this thing flops wherever and locks on wherever it goes. Radiant Talon, 45 degree safety lever. Got the I can't remember the manufacturer on these anti-walk pins for the trigger pins. Standard mag release, oversized. I want to say this is a mag pull trigger guard. Got the Geisley trigger in there. The Voltor stock. This one's got a nice wide cheek well, QD cups on it. I like it because it looks cool. It's kind of got these lines on it, and it just looks badass, I think. So I went with that one. That's part of the reason why I went with it. A lot of people complain about their beards getting caught in here, but when I did rock like a longer beard, I never really had that problem. I could see how it would suck if it did happen, but I never experienced that. It's got a little pad on the back here too, which is nice. It's a really nice stock. Voltor makes some badass shit. They also have two little compartments here for like keeping batteries or like cigarettes or something like that in case you're in a real jam and you need to have one last smoke before it's time to go. Maybe some snacks, some Skittles or some peanut M&Ms. I probably wouldn't do peanut M&Ms because if it's hot out, they're not coming out of there. Maybe some Twizzlers. I think that
some nerds.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Those really get you going, man. Nerds.
Oh, yeah.
You like pack a flavor punch. I want to say this is. Oh, it's a BCM.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a BCM grip. So that's the full build. I did also we got the Radian Raptor SD, which is the. It's supposed to be a gas buster charging handle, but it does not bust any of the gas out of this thing. And then I also did the bootleg adjustable gas bolt. So this bolt is supposed to allow you to adjust some of the gas so it diverts some of the gas as it comes into the bolt for running suppressed. Didn't tame the gas on this gun at all, but these Mark 18s are notorious for being super gassy when suppressed. So I think the next thing would be to go with a flow through.
Huxworks.
Yeah, Huxworks, or I don't know, maybe even like a Surefire RC3. I've been hearing good things about those.
Cool.
I think that would kind of fit this build a little bit better going with the Surefire, but I don't know. Maybe the Huxworks would look cool on here too.
I love my Huxworks.
Yeah.
I did get it through you guys.
Yeah.
I don't really have it anything to compare it to because it's my only can, but I run it on 3 guns. I run it on my 300 Win Mag, my hunting rifle. You guys just set that up. I run it on my 308 and I run it on my 5.56.
Yeah. So I do know for a fact that they work and they work really well. We
may not be the quietest.
Yeah, but I mean, you're maybe talking a couple decibels, man.
I don't care.
I mean, the difference between like a quiet can and a not so quiet can is like a couple of decibels.
Right.
They're both hearing safe, right?
Sure.
If you're shooting outdoors, we just Sean Sovereign Armory just did a PWS. It's the long stroke piston gun, 5.56. So it's a piston gun, but it's like an AK piston, not like a short AR piston.
Okay.
And so that gun, no issues whatsoever until he put a can on it. And he also full autoed that gun. So he full autoed that gun. Actually, so sorry, the gun wasn't no issues till he full autoed it, and it was just crazy gassy without a can. Then he put the PWS can on there, crazy, insane gassy. Like you couldn't even shoot the thing like and have any fun with it. So we put a Huxworks on there, and the gun is like it's like perfect. It's it's less gassy than like just a regular gun. So funny. Yeah, it's cool. They do work. They do work and work well. So that's that whole build.
Nice. Awesome.
This is kind of like my go-to whenever I'm just poking around at the range, doing any training. Also, like home defense. I often have this one pretty close by.
Ever since I got my can, that's now my home defense weapon is my 5.56. Where before I just had my pistol. But yeah, if you shoot an AR in your house that's not suppressed, you'll be deaf and blind.
Oh yeah.
You get 1 or 2 shots off and you're done.
Yeah.
So yeah, ever since I got my can, that is my number. It goes next to my bed every night.
Yep. Smart man.
Cool.
All right. So if we got time, we can always cut it out. If we don't,
no, we got time to check out your Pride and Joy.
Yeah. So we'll just kind of like a little intro here. So this goes with it.
Make sure you're.
Oh yeah, this one goes with it.
Nice.
So I'm gonna give you a little teaser.
Wow.
You get to put that on the end of it.
Let me see
for
that.
When things are getting real squirrely.
And how old is this?
That would be like early World War I, but they kept those in circulation into World War II and made those attachable to guns in World War II. So
yeah, I will say this is currently sharp enough to do what it was designed to do.
Yeah, they're more of like a poking tool than a slicing tool.
But it will go through.
Yeah, you can do some slashing with it. I think they were designed for like slashing and stabbing.
Yeah, the thing is, if you get poked with this, I mean, how long is it? It says 1917 on it.
Yeah, that's the manufacture date.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So how funny would it be if I brought the wrong gun?
Over 100 years old.
Yeah. This here is this is a Savage Stevens model 5920 or something like that, man.
What is
the 520 model 520?
And what does it shoot?
This is a 12 gauge.
Oh, okay.
World War II trench gun.
Wow.
So
a shotgun with a bayonet.
Yeah, and the heat shield. It's got the original correct sling on it. This one has all the correct cartouches and markings. It's a post-war rework, so the numbers on the barrel assembly, and because it is a takedown gun, so it does come apart.
Wow.
But the numbers on the barrel and the receiver do not match on the gun, but it was rebuilt from correct parts post-war.
Got it.
This is an accurate post-war rework.
It's an amazing shape.
Oh, yeah. I mean, after it was reworked, it was not handled and didn't see any action after that.
Have you shot it?
This one I have not fired yet.
Gotcha.
So should go do that sometime.
Yeah.
So this is a gun that they be running around in the trenches, getting nasty with. I mean, it's just a cool gun, man.
Yeah, that is cool.
I've always loved the way these looked. They're not super easy to come by. A lot of them got just destroyed in combat. This one, I waited a long time for this one to come walking through the front door of the shop. And it was one that I just wasn't willing to.
As soon as you saw it, your mind probably just already knew, like, oh,
yeah,
that ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this one for a long time. It's a good investment piece, too,
Nice.
If I'm ever in a jam, I can pawn this bad boy and get out real quick. But it's cool without the bayonet, but the bayonet definitely takes it to the whole next level, so we should probably throw that thing on.
Wow.
And when that clicks into place, it's like...
That's insane. I'm scared right now. I am scared right now.
Yeah. I mean, those were... when you slap that thing on the gun,
right?
Shit was about to get real, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
So, those dudes were badasses, man.
Yep.
In a whole nother way.
So cool.
Yep.
Well, if you guys are in Colorado and you want to check out the best gun store in the state, check out Bighorn Firearms. What was the address again? And we'll probably put that up.
Yeah, 2175 South Jasmine Street, Suite 105. That's Denver, Colorado 80222.
Yep. You
can go bighornfirearms.com. Bighorn_firearms on Instagram. We got a new dude. He's been with us for over a year and a half now, running social media, and we got some great content going out, man. He's killing it. The photography is super good right now. We've been throwing some reels in there. We're a fun follow, so give us a follow and share the page with your friends. We're trying to do more of these regular events with like cool companies like Q, Noveski. I mean, whoever else wants to join up. If you see this out there and you want to collaborate on something, hit us up. Like we're down for that. That makes the community better for everybody. So, we're always game. If you got any ideas, throw them our way. If we're doing something, if you think we're doing something wrong, tell us. We want to hear about that too. Because we want to do everything. We don't want to do it necessarily. We got to do everything right, but we always want to do it better.
Sure.
So any input, feedback, advice anybody's got, hit us up and let us know.
Yeah, next time you come on, you'll have to bring a Q with you.
Oh yeah. We'll bring the honey badger, like a boombox or something.
Yeah, those are.
I've got the honey badger. I love that gun so much. I thought it was all hype, but it is not. It is like the coolest shit ever.
You've pretty much talked me into one. I just gotta get things in order.
Yeah, and then the thing is too, it's like finding like a real use for it in Colorado. Is really a great gun for going and like doing some hog hunting. Some critter control, things like that. It's super fun to just shoot, but finding like a real good use for it. I mean, I've got this awesome trench gun. I have no real good use for that other than to look at it and just make me feel good. So
I feel like that honey badger is good to go on the nightstand.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no doubt, dude. Yeah. It is a proper personal defense weapon.
Yeah.
It might need a little spray paint, maybe black or something to give it a little more tacticalness, but the bad guy might actually see it and just be like, "Oh shit,
that's a honey badger.
That's a honey badger."
I'm out.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So.
Well, right on, Ryan. I appreciate you so much from coming on. The podcast with you today was amazing. I don't know if I'll ever be able to top this one. So thank you for coming early in we're in the infancy stages of the Rebel Yankee podcast, and to have you on episode 2 where we're not even sure if anyone's going to watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody will. It might be my mom. It might be your wife and your kids.
Yeah.
But I think it's so cool for you to come on.
Thank you.
I loved, just growing through your testimony and talking about God, which we always do. So to just get it out here on the podcast was really awesome. So thanks for coming on.
I love what you're doing, man. And I love you as a person.
Love you
as
too,
a brother.
Yes.
And, I look forward to seeing where this thing goes and doing it again, whenever you feel the time is right, man. Let's anytime I can support you and contribute to anything you're doing that's positive, I'm there, dude.
Same.
So.
Yep, whatever we could do for Bighorn, we're in. So as far as everything else, that's it for episode 2, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening. If you like the show, give us a follow below, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Later.